In this presentation, we will continue on with our tax preparation problem number 1.3. Last time we entered this information into tax formulas and tax software, the tax forms. This time we're going to use the tax formula using an Excel verification worksheet. Here's the 1040. This is what we entered the information into last time. Now we're going to use Excel to enter the information into an Excel worksheet to give us that double check, that double verification. Remember, when you do this, you want to enter the information into Excel from the source documents as much as possible. That's what's going to give you that double verification. In other words, you don't want to take it directly from the return. You want to do it again from the source document. So the source documents that we had here was the W-2. We had one W-2, we had two W-2s, and we had the 1099. So we're going to enter this information into this format, and we're going to be using this worksheet. So this is going to be our taxable income formula worksheet, or tax formula, and we have the gross income, the deductions, the AGI, the standard deduction or itemized deductions, calculation of the tax credits, and then payments, and then of course the refund or amount due. So we're going to put this information first starting with the W-2. That's going to be going into the gross income. Now we had two W-2s now. So note we have gross income up top that will be affected, and the tax payments and refunds that will be affected. Now the bottom part of this formula we can't verify the tax refund as we go, because we're dependent on the software to come up with the tax. So we can get this individual number correct, and we can use the software to double check the taxable income as we go. So let's take a look at that. We're going to say, let's go over to the income worksheet. We had two W-2s, so I'm going to say so let's just say number 1 and 2. We would put the W-2 name, possibly on it. You could indent this to see the indentation of it. And we would then say that we want this from, so we had the 40,000 from the first W-2 on line 1 and 9,000 from the second. So I'm going to say, all right, I would expect over here to have 40,000 and 9,000. And that should pull over. That'll be 49,000. That should pull over to the first page, the tax formula for the 49,000. Then we had the withholdings, which I would expect to be down here. That would then be followed up or summarized in the credit and payment worksheet, where we have the two W-2 payment information now. Back to our not there. Our documents is what we want. We're going to say the 4,200 box 2, 4,200 330 box 2, 4,200 and 330. All right. It's a little bit easier if you have this on two screens, by the way. If you had two monitors, it'd be a little bit easier. And so I'm going to say this is going to be 1 and 2. Not toe, but 2. And then we're going to say that we had 4200 and 2480 added. Notice that it should be 330, and I miskeyed it at the 2480. I'm going to keep it at the 2480 for now, and then we'll correct it at the end, because we'll be able to match this up to what's on the tax return, and then you'll see it won't line up, and that's the point of the double verification if there's a data input problem. So we'll keep it at the 2480, although it should be the 330. We'll see it won't match up at the end, and then we'll come in and fix that. Up to the 6680. So that's going to be the total payment we had back to the formula. That's going to lead over into here. We can't really verify this number because we don't know what the tax calculation is. We can't just do that in the software because it's a progressive tax. We're going to pull that from the software. So we can verify, however, this number as we go. So let's see what else we have before we do that. We're going to say, all right, what else do we have over here? We had interest income. And it's worth noting that you're also going to have to deal with whether they had insurance for the year as well. So we've always in all these problems saying that we're assuming that they had insurance for the full year. They're going to tell us that. You're going to want to question, what type of insurance they have. And we'll talk a bit more about that later. But you'll recall that they need the insurance coverage. But okay. Box 1 on the interest, we had 28 on the interest. So let's go back over to Excel for interest. That's going to be in our income line, which will be supported by this schedule. We're going to say interest, we're going to say $28. So we had 49,000 W-2 income, $28 interest income. That's going to add up to the total of the 4928. That 4928 then pulling over to the lead sheet to the tax formula 4928. So now we have the 4928. We have no above the line deductions or Schedule 1 deductions, giving us the AGI, the 4928. We're going to take the standard deduction because it's an individual, which is going to be pulled down from here, standard deduction. The 4928 minus the standard deduction provides us with 36,828. We're going to stop there, check the tax return, and verify that on the tax return, see if we're lining up so far. 26,828. So if we go to the tax return, we can say there's the 36,828. Is that what I said? I think I said 20, but it is 36,828. So I can double check that. And then if you want to double check the rest of the lines, you can. The other line you can double check. That's the first thing you want to do. And you might just move forward from there. Or you might say, hey, I'd like to check the 12,200. I can check that line. That's going to be right there. You can double check the total income. I can say, all right, I'd like to double check basically this number. The 49, well, both of those, the AGI, the 4928. So there's the 4928. And then you can double check this number, which is the 4928 here, 4928, because there was no above the line deduction. Then if you want to verify the kinds of income, you can go back and verify the types of incomes by then going in and saying, there's the 49 here, there's the 28, and verify these two. So you really, if you want to do the quick verification, you go to the total. The total is going to be the bottom line, the taxable income. Does that line up? If it does, then maybe you move forward, right? If it doesn't, then you got to go line by line. Here's this one. Does this one line up? Does this line up? Does this line up? The thing that's probably going to be off is the taxable income because it has the most subcategorizations to it. Then if the taxable income is off, you go into the detail within the taxable income, line those up and see what's not lining up the way you would suspect it should. Now we're gonna go to the actual tax calculation. Once this number lines up to what we have on our worksheet, we'll go to page 2. We say the calculation is 4,225, and I'm gonna actually manually put that into our worksheet. 4,225. We'll say back to page 1. We're gonna say 4,225. And it'll calculate the average tax for us. But now we've got that. We already had the amount of payments we had in terms of the withholdings. Therefore, if this is the tax and this is what we paid, we should be getting a refund of $2,455. That's what I would expect the bottom line number to be on the tax return. Back to the tax return, we see the 305. Let's go back over. Something is wrong, right? So now I'm checking. I'm guessing the thing that's going to be wrong is that 6680. So I'm going to go back over and say that's going to be the credits, and so it should be 4,200 and 2480. So if I go back to the data input, we had the 4,200, and then this one should be 330. So I'm going to go back over and say, all right, 300. This one should be 330. 330. That would make the total 4,530 back to the tax formula. And there it is now. Now we're at the 305. And so if I go back over here, we're at the 305. So notice a data input error, easy to do because there's no verification. There's no double entry accounting, balance sheet here to help us out with it. So that's why this kind of this double check thing can be a useful tool to have. If you can work that in some way, shape, or form into your system, some type of double check, then that would be useful.